Hello everybody. This is my first vlog. And I know there's this little bunny windscreen on the camera that should make the wind not a problem, but you might have some difficulty hearing me because of this. But you can hear the birds, which is pretty nice. The birds are right above my head and behind me. You can also see the mountains, and you can see my Applin with my Pantone. So I had a few thoughts over the last couple of days. Oop, I just got some coffee on my hand. Of what I could possibly say in the vlog format. And, obviously didn't script anything. But there's just so much swirling through my head all the time that it's kind of, there's not really a point in trying to pluck one thing out for something like this. But it's been an interesting morning. I just woke up and found out that Sophie died, which is sad. But Sophie has the most beautiful death story, I think, in music that I know of. Easily in pop music. The fact that Sophie was, from what the story is, was in Athens and was trying to get a closer look at the moon. And then fell to her death. It's kind of unbelievably beautiful. And, I've been talking to my friends about it this morning, and my friend Stella observed that it's kind of the reverse of Icarus, which is kind of heavy to think about beyond just a sun, moon kind of situation. That perhaps, perhaps in Icarus is ignoring the sun and trying to reach as high as he as a human can go, and he's trying to ignore the things that could possibly get in his way. But in this story, I think Sophie is maybe ignoring herself and just trying to take in the beauty of the moon, and then as a result falls, which is pretty interesting to think about them both as falls, but also, I don't know. It's pretty interesting. I guess the inverse of Icarus could also just be some kind of ascension, but either way, here, check this out. Yeah, I've just been enjoying some coffee with Camille. We made some guava cookies and talked to her mom on the phone about different things, about whistlegraph stuff, about guava cookies, which is pretty nice. But I'm kind of nervous. My compost is right here. I'm kind of nervous because I see these are kind of falling, the fruits of this plant, of this tree. You can see it in my hand. And I'm kind of nervous because I don't know if they contain seeds and if I shouldn't compost them because they will try to propagate in my compost. But at the same time, I think it should be fine. It's a very dark box. Let's take a peek though. Maybe you can even see some flies coming out. It smells amazing. It truly smells amazing in there. I was thinking for a while that, soil is a pretty interesting discourse, and I think it's only going to be more interesting. I think arable land is a really limited resource. People are losing the amount of land that they can actually grow viable crops on. Like there are a few crops that you can kind of grow in greenhouses, like tomatoes, and I think, I want to say lettuce. That's like really easy to greenhouse grow, but then there are a lot of other plants that people depend on that you can't grow in a greenhouse. And I think soil chemistry is like more complicated than most people know, even like those that study soil. But I've been thinking about soil composition so much because it's so beautiful. Like it's so full of so many components that we have no relationship to. Like we don't really get to understand what goes into the soil that we use, but it's obviously like lots of stuff. But if one was making soil, like trying to make soil, you can actually kind of be more playful with it. Like you can kind of basically compose these mixtures of significant soil, more or less significant soil. And it's kind of like it's kind of like making a song where you can kind of take like dirt from a place that's important to you. You can kind of take food that you grew, maybe like the trimmings from like your yard. Like these things are like compost. But then you can also do things like, you can make like a kind of sculptural soil where it's like this soil is only gonna have like the leaves of this one tree that's like not in my house, like not near my house. Like I go to this mountain and I collect the leaves around this tree, I bring it back. Like you can kind of start to be like selective and have this kind of poetic value in what you have in your soil or in your compost, which is pretty beautiful. And you can kind of think about like soil layers as like this kind of slow accumulation that, you might think that something isn't useful to grow something out of, but if you give it enough time, it obviously is. But even beyond that, I think understanding that soil is so complicated, like you can have things that are like early on their way to decomposing still in your soil and it's fine. Like if you had plastic in your soil, it actually probably would not affect the plants growing in it very much if it's like under a certain density. It doesn't mean it's going to decompose, but it's like fine that it's a part of the soil layer. So soil has this weird kind of relationship to what's okay or what isn't okay. But it's also interesting because I was thinking, I just broke this piece of branch, but I was thinking that I hope the wind hasn't destroyed this, but I was thinking that, there was a period of time where I was like, I should go to grad school for art. It's the right thing to do. And I knew that if I went, like one thing I wanted to do was make these like vessels for soils that I would make, but also plant things very like intentionally in these like boxes of soil, or the like actual like pot that would hold the soil would be really interesting to select, but that I would be selective of, like I'd compose the soil myself. I'd plant certain things in there. Like I have like a little seed bank of things that were for this project, but I would plant certain things in there. And then even the arrangement on the top of the soil layer, like the top of the soil, a common thing when you're growing, like any plant or vegetable or whatever, is weeds get in, you get these little grasses, all these things will try to grow and propagate, colonize the top of your soil layer. And it's kind of beautiful because you can kind of prune that, you can kind of work with it, but you can also kind of arrange gravel and like arrange seashell. You can arrange all sorts of little things on the top of the soil layer, which is pretty special. Camille is telling me that it's time to go to Jeffrey's, and we have a lot of work to do. So that's the end of my vlog. But I'll be back. There's a lot I want to talk about, so it'll probably be more interesting next time anyway. But I'll see you guys again. Peace.